What's up, YouTube? So I want to come through and share a theory that I have with you guys. It's a theory involving colorism. Big surprise, right? But yeah, it's a theory involving colorism and sort of juxtaposing it and comparing it to white supremacy. So kind of like the system of colorism compared to the system of white supremacy, right? And I kind of feel like the system of colorism is more or less like the poor, dark-skinned man's version of white supremacy. And what I mean by that is it's like his system, right? His system where he can kind of pull the strings and control things, right? Sort of like how white men do, right? That white man that dark-skinned black man wants to be, right? He wants to be in his position. In fact, he may even want to be him. But unfortunately, you know, that ain't happening. So he has to go to the next best option, right? Which is the system of colorism, right? And before I continue, I just want to say, take this all with a grain of salt, you know? And as well, if it ain't you, I'm not talking about you, all right? But I just want to come through and share some things with you, though, all right? So in the system of colorism, the poor dark-skinned man's white supremacy, this is how things break down. Um, the dark-skinned men have the most power, the most say in the system, right? That's kind of like part of the reason why, it tends to keep going, right? They're the ones who are silently and covertly keeping this system going, right? Because they get the most benefits from this system. Honestly, if you break it down, I don't even think they're really benefiting all that much. But as you know, black folk get full off of crumbs, all right? And give them a little bit of anything, and they just eat it up and just act like it's the best thing ever. And it's sort of like the same thing here, right? So, the dark skinned and the brown skinned black men are sort of like the guys in charge. And there's some symbolism involved in this, but um, the dark skinned black women symbolizes the things that they hate about themselves, right? So therefore, she receives a lot of the brunt of colorism because oftentimes colorism affects dark-skinned people's self-esteem, while it affects light-skinned and mixed biracial folks' sense of identity, right? So because of that, we have a self-esteem issue, and it's like this woman is reminding him of himself, right? And he doesn't like and value himself, right? So oftentimes his aggression is taken out on the dark-skinned, brown-skinned females, right? Next, we have the light-skinned, mixed, and biracial men. They symbolize that white man that oppressed them, that subdued them, that historically has marginalized and just dehumanized him, right? So because of that, there's animosity, right? So his next target becomes the light-skinned biracial mixed men, right? And they're probably you know, a target that's a little tougher and a little more satisfying to attack and go after, right? Because it's one thing, when a man, conquers a woman, but it's another thing when a man conquers another man. And of course, this is, taken with a grain of salt, right? But it's another thing when you kind of, I guess, exerting power, if you will, over females versus males, right? And then you have the light-skinned biracial females that fall into um, this situation. And they symbolize that white woman that, you know, they wanted to be with, right? That white woman that white woman who's that white man's wife, you know, daughter, some type of a female family member. So this is like, low key his trophy are, the spoils of his war, so to speak. Being able to finally get with this, white man's white woman, right? Quote unquote. Notice that many of them do low key get hyped when they get them a light bright woman, right? They finally got their trophy, right? You know, and some light skinned biracial females be getting hyped off of this. But the thing is, it's not coming from a place of love, but rather it's coming from a place of revenge and just wanting to emasculate and feel more empowered, you know, from this um, from having the white man's white woman, right? Because notice these dudes, they do be getting, like I said, they do be getting hyped, especially when the light skinned biracial females be comparing them to their light skinned biracial male counterparts and giving them the better end of the comparison, right? But they don't realize that light skinned female, biracial female, when they do that, they're colorist and they're running game on you. Just like the brown skinned, dark skinned dudes run game on the light skinned biracial females by comparing them to their female counterpart and saying, oh, you look way better than them dark skinned chicks. They're colorist and they're running game on you. And y'all probably think it's all good in the hood, but I'll put it to you like this. There is no honor among colorists. At one point or another, that colorist beast is going to rear its ugly head at you. And you're going to be really surprised because you're going to think that you were the special one, that you were the exemption, that it couldn't happen to you, No, you're not that special. And again, they be getting hyped when they be like, low key, they be like, I got your bitch, right? That's how they be, right? And it's just like, dang, y'all think about us a little too much. Y'all compare yourselves to light-skinned biracial dudes a little too much. And they ain't gonna admit it, but you just gotta look at the telltale signs with that shit though, right? Like the light-skinned dude memes, right? Mentioning us in rap songs, trying to compare yourselves, like light skin ain't ever coming back. Curve me for a light, like I'm a light skinned dude. You know, um, Also like in sports, sometimes skin color occasionally comes up in sports, usually brought up by the brown skinned, dark skinned dudes. You know, and that's why they love to eat up these comparisons. Between light skinned dudes and dark skinned dudes, whereas the dark skinned dudes getting um, the better part of the comparison, right? They love to eat that shit up, because we're dealing with people who have a self-esteem issue, people who are fragile, people who, you know, really have some sort of a psychological issue, you know, at play. And it's like, damn, you know, because you notice, even though they tend to get the better end of the comparison often so many times and are seen as like the preferred ones, you know, it doesn't fulfill them. It doesn't really satisfy them. They feel empty inside still, even after all of that. It's still some sort of an emptiness inside. You know, me personally, I think you could end up feeling that emptiness inside if you reconnected with your dark-skinned, brown-skinned female counterpart and uplifted her. I think that that would lead to you feeling sort of a fulfillment. But of course, I don't see that happening. I see them doing anything but that, honestly. And as well, I do find it a bit odd that some of these colorist dudes, colorist brown skin, dark skin dudes, seem to always want to gravitate towards light skinned females for some reason. You know, if you are colorist, why not gravitate toward your female counterpart? That way, you guys could truly be a colorist unit together. That would make more sense if you really think about it. But you want to gravitate towards another man's female counterpart. You want to uplift another man's female counterpart. You want to have kids and procreate and marry another man's female counterpart. And the light-skinned biracial females often go along with it. Combination of trying to be down, be seen as black. Combination of trying to run that game, right? Combination of being so brainwashed and so weak-minded that she'll just go along with anything that doesn't remind her of herself. Kind of some self-hating. Some self-hate can be involved in it too. Some superiority can be involved in it. It's a bit of a toss-up there. Yeah. But this is pretty much these are pretty much the reasons why when colorism complaints come up, especially from brown-skinned, dark-skinned women, they tend to just be swept on the rug and not really dealt with, because they don't want to give up a system that they indulge in, that they perpetuate, that they participate in, and that they benefit from, right? Because, they want to be able to have access to another group of women that ain't their own women, because they're so self-hating. And that's sad, honestly. And they use that as sort of like a self-esteem boost, and again, that's really just sad and pathetic. That's why it's just a lot of colorism coming from that pair up for some reason. You see, that's the reason why it's so much colorism coming from that pairing, right? Because you got two people who got issues, colorism issues coming together. I just feel bad for the kids, honestly. That's the one group of folks I feel bad for, the kids that they bring into this world. And when the kids come into the world, that's when it really gets real. The colorism really gets real. But I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. No, scratch that. Don't feel free to subscribe. I'm not asking for subscriptions. But I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate the folks who subscribe, though. But I'm not asking for subscriptions. But I am asking for comments. So please leave your comments. Thanks. Adios and goodbye for now.